Hey guys, so today we're going to continue on with the inventory, and hopefully this will be one of the last videos that we do on the inventory because we've spent quite a bit of time here. But today we're going to add these item descriptions to our inventory, and we're going to add the ability to drop something from the inventory if we click outside of the inventory. So we'll do the item descriptions first, and this is going to work basically exactly the same as most of the other types of data that we have set up. So we're going to use, again, a grid. And it's just going to have 2 columns and then however many items that we have. And basically what I'm going to do is have the name of the item in the first column and the item description in the second column. So this probably won't be too tricky because we have done this multiple times before. So let's come into the create event of our inventory object. Let's scroll down a little bit to where we're setting up our data structures. All right, and let's do it down at the bottom. So right here, this was sort of where we finished off, and this is where we actually added the items to the inventory. So before that, let's do another thing, and I might wrap this in a region because it might be a little bit long, just so that we can wrap it later. All right, so we're going to create a data structure. I'm going to call this ds items info, ds grid create, so a width of 2, and then the height is going to be however many items that we have. And because a few episodes ago, we set up our item enumerator here, and we have this height variable here, which is very handy because it's going to be whatever the last item is. So this is going to be equal to the height. So we can put this. That is how big we need our info grid to be. All right, and now we just add the names and the descriptions. And basically we're just filling that grid that we had before. So for the very first one, which is going to be just the empty item, remember we had just nothing as the first item, so we'll still create an entry for that. So ds items info, and now, so this will be 0 for the x coordinate, and for the y coordinate, this is going to, well, it's going to start at 0, like that. And then for the next one, all we have to do is increment this, and the next one is going to be tomato. But actually another way we can do this, just so that if you add items later or you mess up the order of this, it's not going to mess up later. What I like to do, instead of having numbers in here, we can create some variables, z and I. Doesn't really matter what we call them, I'm just going to call them z and I. And so instead of 0, I'm actually going to just put z. And here, I'm going to put I++. And the same for here. Because what this is going to do is it starts at 0, right? So this first one, this is actually going to be 0, but as soon as this sort of block of code is executed, this is going to increment II for the next one. So this will still access the cell 0, 0, but II will now be 1, so next time it's going to access the cell 0, 1. And we can keep going like this. So the only thing we have to change is just the thing on the right side. So go ahead and fill out the rest of these just for the names of the items that's going to show up in the description. So I'll just speed up this portion. There we go. And so exactly the same thing for the item descriptions. So I'm just going to copy and paste this. And we can still use our Z and I trick from before, but instead of having Z starting at 0, it's going to be 1 now because the X coordinate is going to be 1. So we're filling the second column of our grid. So go ahead and fill those in with whatever descriptions that you want. So that is our little section for filling in the items. All right, so let's wrap this because it's quite a long block of code, and let's actually draw the contents to somewhere on the screen. And just like a lot of our other sections of the inventory, so we had where we were drawing the gold coins, where we were drawing the item slots themselves, we're also going to need an X and Y location for the description. So I'm going to refer to this as the DESC_X and DESC_Y for description X and Y position. And now let's just have a look on our sprite. We'll probably use the same X position as the slots, but we'll use a different Y position, obviously. So we want it to be somewhere down here. Obviously, if you've got a different sprite, then just put it wherever you want. So it's kind of the top left anchor of where you would want the description to be. So I want mine to be about here. So I'm just going to go in on the sprite, and you can see kind of down the bottom left-hand corner, it tracks where your mouse is on the sprite. I'm just going to say I want it at about 156 for the Y. All right, let's come back to our inventory. So for the X, I'm putting just info X, and for the Y, I'm putting, well, I'm going to put where the inventory is, but then I'm going to add that 156 times the scale though, right? So it's important to add that because we might be scaling our inventory differently. We put 2 as the scale, so we're actually multiplying most things by 2. All right, so we've got the location of where we want it to draw. Let's come into the draw GUI and actually draw it. So we want to draw the description after we've drawn the back of the inventory. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter. We could draw it before or after the slots. I might just do it afterwards. For some reason, it makes kind of more sense in my head to do it that way. Yeah, and I might slot it in here. So before we were drawing the picked up item. So I'm going to put it here. So this is after we've drawn most things. So now we're going to draw item description. And so what we have to do now is pull the item description of the item that we're currently selecting. So this is going to be to do with our selected slot variable. So we need to pull some stuff out of the DS items info grid. So I'm just going to create a variable called iInfoGrid. Again, just because we're going to be referring to this a few times and this is just a little bit quicker to type out. And also it tends to be faster to access this local variable than pulling it from an instance variable over and over again. I'm also just going to declare a variable called description. And I'm going to set it to just an empty string for now, because if we're kind of not selecting anything, then I don't want any item description to show up. So we'll change this if we are selecting something, but if we're not, it'll just say nothing. All right, and now we need to actually pull the item that we're selecting out of our inventory grid. So we have done stuff like this a lot in the past. So back here, when we're drawing all of the inventory slots, we have to pull out what kind of item that we're drawing. So we can use the same kind of syntax here. So we've already set up some variables for this. So I might as well reuse them. But instead of II, we want this to be the selected slot. All right, so this is going to pull the item type out of our inventory grid that is storing all of our items. All right, so now from the item type, we want to kind of access our grid here. Right, and we want to check, so if it is item type this, for example, the stone, then we want to come into this slot here, pull out the name, and also pull out its description. So I'm just going to say if item is larger than 0, so if it's larger than 0, that includes all of these, right? So we're just checking that it's not nothing. So if it is something, then we go ahead and we are going to set the description. And now I'm going to say the name. So I'm going to access our info kind of description grid again. I'm going to pull it from the first column because that's the one that has the name. So I'm just pulling out the name at the moment of whatever that item type is. And then because we can actually add strings together, I'm going to add a full stop. So that's kind of going to get, so if it's just tomato like this, it's just going to make it into tomato full stop and then add a space. And then I'm going to add another thing, the description itself. So that would be from column 1. All right, so now we have kind of what we need to print out onto the screen. So now we just need to draw some text. So let's go draw text. Let's go ext color. And the reason I'm using ext is that if we have a very long description, I want to make sure that if it gets to the end of the line, that it's going to wrap to the next part. And you can do that with ext. So you can say if it hits a certain width, then we're going to wrap the text to the next line, and it'll do that automatically for you. So we need to set an X and Y position to draw our description. So that was our description X and description Y. The string to actually draw, so that's just description. So next it's asking for a separation between the strings. So this kind of means if we do wrap that text, how far down do you want me to put the next line? So you can put whatever you want really for this. You can play around with the numbers and just see what looks nice, but I'm actually going to get the height of the string. And now it would actually be better to save this in a variable somewhere so that it didn't execute every single frame of the game, but because I'm kind of just explaining this to you, I'm just going to type it in like this. But if you want, you could set this as a variable, or you could just put in some numbers. All right, and now for the width. Now what we're probably going to want is if I come back to this sprite again, so we are going to want our description width to be from sort of here to here. So this is sort of like the width of the actual UI and then minus 2 of those X buffers. So that is what I'm going to put. Obviously, again, if your sprite is different, you'll have to change this, but we can just put, so we actually did have a variable that was storing the width of the UI back here. So inventory UI width. So let's grab that. And then we're going to take away 2 of those X buffers. All right, and finally, we have to give it some colors. So this will be the color that you want the description to be. I am going to reuse the C variable that we were using for a lot of the colors previously. I'm just going to set it to black, and I will repeat that. All right, and finally the alpha, I'm just going to put 1. One other thing we should do is set the font that we want this to be in, which I will do in here because we don't need to set the font if we're actually not drawing anything at all. So let's go draw, set font, and I'm going to use FNT. I had a few fonts here. I'll just use size 12. All right, that should be all that we need. Let's give that a run and see what happens. All right, so we have a description popping up. Let's just try all of them. So we haven't scaled the UI. That was a bit silly. All right, so it's going to exactly halfway of what it needs to do. So that's a simple fix. We forgot to times this here by the scale. There we go. And I might just restart this a few times so we get all of the items. Yep, and it looks like it's wrapping correctly. All right, perfect. Let's move on to the next part. So all I want to do for this is just make it so that if I pick this up and drop it over to this side, that it will come out into the world. All right, so for this, we have to come into the step event of our inventory object. So remember, we did a bunch of stuff for kind of getting the mouse's position on the GUI. And remember, we had to account for a lot of different scaling because the GUI itself is sort of different to the draw. So what we're going to have to check is if we're not in the boundary of the inventory and we are picking something up and we release it, then we want to take that as a case that we want to drop that item. So let's start at trying to get if we are hovering over a position that is not in the inventory. So that is actually, we can do this right here because this is checking if we are within the bounds of the inventory. So we know if this is not true, then the else condition is if it is false, if we're not in the inventory. And I'm actually going to set a variable here called mouse in inventory. I'm going to set it as true initially, but if we find that we're not in it, we're going to go ahead and make it false. And now down here, when we're dealing with the pickup slot and the clicking of the mouse button, we can have a case for checking if we are not in the inventory. So if this thing right here is false. So right here was that pickup slot case. So this is checking if the pickup slot is not equal to -1. And that was just our way of saying that it was empty if we're not currently picking something up. So if this isn't the case, that means we are picking something up and this block of code runs. As soon as we did that, then we checked if we press the mouse button, and then it checked some stuff about the slot. But I'm actually not going to worry about any of that. I'm going to come right here and actually be the first case that it checks. If the mouse is not in the inventory, then we are going to drop the item into the game world. And we know that we actually already have the code for dropping an item into the game world. It's down here. Yeah, right here. So this was if we were hovering over a slot and then we click the middle mouse button, or that's what I said anyway, then it was going to reduce the item count. If the reduction meant that the count was now 0, then it kind of set that item slot as containing no item. And then it went ahead and it created the item. So let's actually just grab all of this. We will have to tweak it, but it's a good start. And paste it here. All right, let's just tab this forward. It's kind of created a bit of a mess. Maybe we should put this in a region as well. Down to here. And don't forget to change this to an else if now. So that was actually that first case, but we want to join all these together. All right, and now we need to make some changes to this. So instead of clicking the mouse button, we don't actually need this at all. So we can delete that. You could keep the debug message or you could delete that if you want, but this was just to say that we did drop an item. Now, instead of worrying about the selected slot, we're actually worrying about the pickup slot. So let's change all of these. And another thing we have to worry about is when it creates the item, what is it setting as the item type? And it was setting this thing, which was to do with code that we had used previously, but this isn't useful for us. What we need to do is get the item that was in our pickup slot. So we actually need to go ahead and make another variable. I'm going to call this P item. So let's grab it from the inventory grid. So remember, the item types are stored in the first column. It's column 0. And the Y coordinate that we need is just the pickup slot. Great. And now we just put that in here. So that looks good. The only thing that we also have to add is, I think for this case, so if we're destroying the item because it's the last one, we also actually want to reset our pickup slot. So remember, when we were picking stuff up and placing it down, we would set this to -1 to say, now the pickup slot is empty, we're not picking anything up. So we'll want to do that if it is empty. So here, we set that to -1. Otherwise, we've just kind of reused the code from before. And that should be all we need to do. So let's run the game and have a look. All right, so let's just move the player over here. Let's pick up something. So we're outside the thing and left click. Good, so we've tossed it out. And let's just check if we have nothing left. Does it get rid of it in the pickup slot? It does. Good, so everything is working properly. All right, so let's leave it there for today. I'd like to thank everyone who is supporting me on Patreon to make these tutorials. And special shoutouts to Danielle Hargrave, Doan Techbin, Max Molinaro, Uthelian, Corey S., Sano, The Great Poultry, XD Game Studio, Chris J., Colin McLernan, David Howes, and Stuart Wells. I hope you guys are well, and I'll see you in the next video.